It's fine. Give him 1 more hour.
1 more hour.
Is this what the episode's gonna turn into?
It's just him waiting while we're just.
That's not very nice, Goat.
So how's
That
the
is very
weather
rude.
for everybody right now?
Also, I forgot I can move him down here.
You guys
Sure.
have any snow?
Yes.
Yeah, I've had snow.
We have a lot of fucking snow. Thank God it's all melted for the most part.
Yeah, we didn't get
Wow.
too much, thankfully.
Yours melts. Good for you.
I'm not expecting a lot to change over the next couple days. Our governor kept saying that it's only the beginning and all that shit, so I'm sure we're gonna have a long, fun time very soon.
Yeah, just.
Oh, maybe he wasn't done pooping.
I mean, he's still muted.
Yeah. Wait.
He has a roll. He needs a roll.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Oh,
Goat.
right.
Did you give him the roll?
He might not have. He might not have.
I
permission to
told you.
unmute.
But then
Hang
again,
on,
you
hold
were
on.
at work, so.
Let me see here.
There we
All right.
Okay, I fiddled with it. Okay.
It appears to be working now. We're good.
Yeah, I think we're there. If all of a sudden go robot or something like that, I'm just doing this from a phone. I just moved back to the area I'm in, and I'm in the storm, in that Midwest area, or, central, that we just got dumped like 12 inches. I'm not going to be able to get out of my house for like 3 days or something.
Are you on the phone or are you on your like desktop or whatever?
I'm on my phone. So,
Okay.
yeah,
I don't know which
I'm
one's
not
more
able
likely
to
to
be.
get knocked out by that.
Yeah, I think everything should be good. And I don't know if y'all do kind of like first before, maybe, I don't know if you're already even recording or if you want to wait for a second to just do kind of some start. But like I told Napalm, I checked out y'all's drug story podcast. Goat, you were the one reading that, right, Goat?
No, that was me.
You were the one. Who was it?
That was me, Lundy.
Okay, okay, Lundy, dude, you did a great job of reading that, and dude, I
Thanks.
actually backed it up a couple of times when the guy went outside with like threatening to kill himself with his mom, like taking pills in the house, and you just started yelling like the story, like, dude, I broke down laughing so hard, dude.
Okay, I'm glad.
Dude,
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
yeah, that story was a train wreck. And Napalm, I give him credit because he gave a pretty good, accurate idea of what the age idea of that person was. But so y'all do, I really think y'all work really well together as far as y'all feed off each other. You're not just talking over, and so I really enjoyed y'all.
All right, I don't think you've listened to enough. You don't think we talk over each other?
Okay, all right. I only just heard that one. That was a pretty good introduction to the material y'all do. So I'm looking forward to hearing more of y'all's work.
Nah, yeah, fair enough. There you go. Go. How do you feel about that feedback?
Or are you laughing at, Goat?
You, because he hates what we do.
Yeah, he's the reason we don't have a Patreon.
Yeah.
Dude, basically,
Ghost's current philosophy is like, if we ever got paid for this, he'd kill himself.
Yeah.
so
sure.
y'all have some like
Why
black
not?
on Goat. Y'all just force him like, if you don't do this podcast with us, we'll release the pictures.
Nah, he's the one who wants to do it. He just never wants it to actually go anywhere.
That's why.
Hey, I mean, if I start hearing you like read out sponsors, like, or something, like, I know that you truly
Fuck
just
me. Oh my
bent the
god,
knee.
I'd die.
You just bent the knee. You just was like, I'm just gonna
Are you
kiss
fucking
the
kidding? I would love to have sponsors, Lundy.
No, I know
Because
that,
we would not have sponsors for long.
No, we would not. They would give us fucking something to read, and then you would intentionally do the opposite.
You're assuming you get the script unedited before it gets to you.
I don't
I'm
need no
probably not
fucking
gonna be the one who
script.
reads it. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Matt would.
Who's reading bitch on this podcast again?
I mean, I am, but Matt's gonna be the one
Who's,
who's gonna do the sponsor reads. You trust me on that one.
I forget. Is it the Lundy pin? I don't remember what the name of this channel is.
But what then? Why am I the read bitch? Explain that.
You got a nice voice.
Okay,
You have voice
Fine.
acting in your Twitter bio.
fine.
You do. Look, we're helping you, Lundy. If you weren't reading, bitch, do you think you'd be a somewhat successful voice actor?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think you would have ever met Will Neff if it wasn't for this podcast?
I legitimately did.
Also, you got an into Hollywood through this podcast with my doppelganger, motherfucker.
Yeah.
True. That is true. I
Give
guess
me
I
all
should
the-
do that, but that
Give me
crazy.
all your acting residuals.
Should I give you my
Yeah,
writing
so,
residuals as well?
Sorry.
So I
are
don't
you-
know. Have y'all already started, or do you? Do you
Yeah,
do,
no. This is kind of basically how we get started. We just wait until like the flow's right, and then we just go based off of that. Everything's
Alright.
being recorded, and then go just kind of like cuts out anything that's
All
boring.
right. So, set up this a little bit. Matt found you through Destiny's Discord. If you don't mind giving a little bit of backstory, either one of you or both of you.
Yeah, dude. Okay. That's why I wanted to thank Napalm for doing it this time of night because, like right now, I just moved back into the Kansas area, and I'm getting a job out here, but it's taking forever to get this job. So I don't have any routine. My life is really better with a routine. Um, I'm not going to be able to kind of drink and different stuff with the job I have because I can be taken out. But so while I haven't, I definitely, have not been in a routine as far as that. And so I drink beer. I don't get crazy with whiskey and everything. But about 11 or 12 o'clock at night, I start coming off the rails. And I really enjoy like any conspiracy that there possibly is. Like I joke with people, if somebody came and sat down beside me at a bar and said, "Hey, I need to tell you something," and looked over each shoulder before they started talking to me, they have my undivided attention. Like I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be good." So
I've heard too many conspiracies. I live in an area where everybody is a conspiracy theorist, and I can't stand it because everybody's got. I have heard everything under the fucking sun, from the moon's not real to all of our various different leaders are aliens or demons or both.
Well, of
You
course
need to
you wouldn't
understand
believe Yakubian.
Yeah,
Lundy's
Trying to
a
use
bit
your
of
trickology on the black man to keep him down.
Lundy's what we like to call a fuddy-duddy liberal
Yeah.
pussy faggot. And
Oh yeah,
No
by the way,
fucking
Andy, even though this is on YouTube, we don't give a shit. We will say the fun words.
yeah.
okay. And yeah, and I've gotten better with that. Like, I know the R word is a big word. I know Dave Pavel can just throw it in.
We've gotten honestly worse on this podcast with it over time, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, so
Love
I
slow
mean,
here, Matt.
yeah, I don't mind it as far as So yeah, so people, I was telling Napalm earlier, like when I was talking about kind of one of the concepts that I wanted to bring up as far as conspiracy theories, and I was mentioning Napalm. He just happened to hear me talking about it. There's certain people that cannot believe in a single conspiracy theory or give it any credence because it would just go against their worldview. Like to give any credence for the possibility of something would tear apart like the whole idea of there's a possibility of this, then there's a possibility of this, then, and I'm in another direction as far as I'm a religious person. And so I
Right.
believe religious people have more of of willing to believe in conspiracy theories more than people that are not, at least as far as percentage wise, because you're already believing in something like with Hebrew 11 saying that faith is something hoped for yet unseen. So having faith in a religion, you're already believing something that there's no something to back it up. You're just believing in something without this data, without this certain, So I think they're more acceptable to believing in, conspiracy theories than people that don't come from a religious nature that need to have sufficient evidence to back up any of their claims.
What do you think about that, Goat? As our resident God botherer.
I'm sorry. I had somebody ringing me for a second there. Could you please repeat what?
Long story short, religious people are much more susceptible to conspiracy theories because they already believe in something they don't have any proof for, so they believe things based off.
I think you mean they're more susceptible to the truth, Lundy.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly, Dave. That's something else.
I feel like I'm getting a watered down version from Lundy here. Seems like he's filtering out some words whenever he's.
No, I'm not.
No, the other side of the coin was I was saying that people that do come from a non-religious background are more data driven, and I believe there's a certain amount of people. I don't know what I'd put as a percentage of this, that they cannot believe in a conspiracy theory at all, because in order to do that would destroy their whole worldview, where they would all of a sudden start questioning a lot of things that they do not want to question as far as their life.
I can get behind that.
Yeah. So, I mean, so that's where I'm coming from. Like, I'm already a person that, I was born, into a religious family. I feel like I became spiritual for a time period. And then I've kind of swayed back to, kind of believing, within my Christian faith.
I was going to say, well, are you Catholic or Christian?
I'm Christian. I'm not. Don't put me with that.
Why are you laughing at that? Catholics aren't Christian.
Pagan.
They're pagans. Everybody knows this, Lundy.
All right, yeah.
They have literal fucking demigods.
Yeah.
What do you think a saint is?
Yeah.
Don't put Catholics on me, Ricky Bobby.
Also,
Catholics are actually Christians. Yeah,
also, too, Lundy, Catholics are the ones that made angels gay.
Look, all of you can argue about how many angels can dance on the pin of a fucking needle.
Angels used to be cool-ass eldritch abominations with, like, a glowing ring and 10 fucking lion heads.
If you couldn't
with
tell,
1,000 eyes, and then the Catholics were like, what if we just turned him into a naked baby with wings, because we're into babies, because we're Catholic.
Look, if you guys want to fucking sit here and argue about whose angels are cooler, and say, like, you're not a real Christian unless yours has, like, 5 billion eyes, like, whatever, man. It's not my
Lundy
fucking
still
fight.
Lundy still has PTSD from having to go to church every Sunday, so.
Yeah, sure, that's what it is.
I mean, dude, Sodom and Gomorrah, like, is one of the most interesting stories.
Like a
lot of people don't know about. It's the whole reason they talk about the word. That's why the word sodomy came about. Is that I think it was a guy named Lot had a couple of angels at his house. This is before they destroyed the cities, and all these people from the town, all these men with forks, these forks and, like, flames and all this stuff surrounded his house, beat on the door, and they were like, "We want to fuck those angels." And Lot's like, "Hey,
yeah, true. That is what happened.
100% true." And Lot's like, "You know what, man? I swear, I'll give you my virgin. I got virgin daughters in here. I'll give you my virgin daughters." And they're like, we want to fuck those angels.
Wouldn't you want to fuck an angel? Does that not make sense?
No, they don't have holes for it.
What do you mean? How do you know, Matt? How do you know? Have you ever seen one?
Have you ever seen an angel poop?
Have you ever seen an angel's pussy?
No, because they don't got ones. And also, Alan Rickman showed us his angel nub in Dogma.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I didn't know that Alan Rickman's fucking fake angel nub was what we were using to fucking figure out what an angel's supposed to look like. Especially when you're over here talking about the Eldritch Abomination version.
Well,
I
he was
mean,
wearing a human suit, but he still couldn't have a penis because he's an angel.
you know that you know the facts of that movie back
I
it
guess they
up.
had
I mean,
mouths.
The facts of Dogma.
the facts of dogma, back, I mean, Napalm's, not far off, I
I'm
don't
sorry,
think,
is
but
Dogma not still
Fucking
making you
kill me,
money?
dude.
Although,
But
thinking
yeah,
about it, Dogma was made by a dirty, filthy pagan Catholic, so...
He did lose his religion for the gayest reason possible, though. Be
Wasn't
fair.
it
That is
because his
fair.
dog died after
Yeah.
40 years?
It was literally his dog died of old age, and then he was like, yeah, and then I thought about it, and I was like, that
That
dog
sucks.
no, it wasn't that. It was, yeah, the dog never prayed before.
Well, that's why
Like
God,
my
that's
dog's
why
going now.
that's why God gave them the Rainbow Bridge after he slew
That's why
the Asgardians.
That's why God punished him by making him the creator of the He-Man cartoon.
yeah, man. But so yeah, dude,
Yeah, dude.
That one
yeah,
hurts, Goat.
I'm not agreeing with, but as I said, there's not a conspiracy theory. I can bring up. I don't like you said, Lundy. You know every single one of those sons, but I'll tell you the one that kind of changed my life with that within. As I said, I do believe in a God and stuff like that, and everybody's like, hey, if you can just show me a sign, if you could just strike a lightning bolt beside me or this or that, I'm just going to believe. I can tell you, kind of a book and a person that made me kind of come to this realization. Have you ever heard of a guy named Edgar Casey?
No, that name doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, they called him the sleeping prophet, and we don't have to go
Yeah.
totally deep in this, but basically, he was a guy that was born in maybe the 1870s, maybe I think a little bit before that, maybe even around, yeah, maybe 1860s. But this is during a time where people got on their porch and they talked about the Bible, and they say the line. You'd hear his dad and his friends say, "For as many times as I've read the Bible," and da da da. They would talk about this stuff, at night. So he decides he's going to read the Bible 1 year for every year of his life when he's like 12 or 13. And he's in the woods and he's reading the Bible and he sees this woman come up to him. And the woman asks him, like, what do you want to do with your life? And he's like, I want to help people, especially children. And boom, she just disappears. And he runs into his house. He tells his mom about this. And his mom's like, this sounds pretty fucking crazy. Don't tell your dad or anything. Like, let's just keep this between us.
You
So,
sound like a schizo. Sorry.
yeah,
Does the Bible
he
have
already
like
sounded like a schizo. I mean, and so I'm trying to draw the story pretty quick. But anyway, his dad is teaching him reading lessons that night, and he's supposed to read these words, and he's kind of a dullard. He's not very smart at all. And his dad is kind of beating him because he's not learning the words. And his dad's like, dude, I'm going to go into the kitchen. And when I come back, you better know this reading lesson. And something in his head tells him to just fall asleep. He falls asleep for about 5 minutes. He wakes up. He knows every single word in the whole book. And so his dad starts reading to, like, ask him in his reading lessons, and he knows everything. And then he tells his dad, like, pull to the back of the book, and he starts reading all those words. His dad beats the shit out of him because he felt like he was playing with him and learning all the words just to fight his dad. But it turns out like he can like fall asleep on stuff. His dad gives him a speech that this guy's supposed to do in front of the state or whatever, and he reads the whole speech from sleeping on it. Doesn't worry about it until he gets older. He loses his voice. They hypnotize him. His voice is fine. And but when he would come back out of it, his voice would be fucked up again. But he was like, hey, I used to be able to sleep on my book. I wonder if I can sleep and put myself in this trance. Puts himself in this trance. He tells them what is wrong with him in this trance, and they see this red stuff come up towards, like blood and stuff come up towards his throat, like where it came beat red. and he cured himself. Make a long story short, he started doing readings for people, like where he put himself in this trance, started getting headaches because it turns out people were asking him about manipulating the stock market. His name is spelled Edgarkayce. So if anybody wanted to look it up. But anyway, they start realizing these people are manipulating him. So they get a person, what is it called? A stenograph? Or what is the name of it when people do the readings and type it out, like as far as what you're saying?
Stenographer?
Speak and spell.
Stenographer, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So somebody recorded him doing it by like typing
Yeah,
it down.
so they started recording him so they couldn't manipulate him. There's over 40,000 readings that he did that are in Virginia Beach. They have a thing
That's
called
from my neck
AI.
of the woods.
Yeah,
I
so
won't
they have
lie,
over 40,000 readings that this guy did that they all still have to this day. He has a university and a doctorate school over there because he first was helping people with health illnesses. He would always start like, I have the body. And then he would start saying what was wrong with the body and prescribing different, ointments or different things to kind of help them. So like in 1910, I think it was, the New York Post or some New York newspaper came out to show him as a fraud. And they said, we don't see where he's making any money off this. Like, he's just a photographer and does this 2 times a day. But anyway, he goes and try to sum this up. This guy comes in one day and he's like, hey, do you have anything wrong with you? And he's like, no, I don't have anything wrong with you. And he's like, somebody in your family? He's like, no, nobody in my family. He's like, why are you here? He's like, well, if you can do this as far as show what has things that are wrong with people, I'm wondering if you can tell us the difference between the spirit and the soul and tell us about that kind of stuff. And when he woke up, when he's asleep, he doesn't know anything of what he's saying. He's just completely, void of what's going on. So he wakes up and the guy's like, dude, you just changed everything as far as what we understand about religion as we know it. Now, he was a heavy Christian, but he was talking about how there's other dimensions. He started talking about what happens after death and going to different places and to learn different things. But it turns out like you could either get a health reading from him or a past life experience like reading from him where he would tell people about their past lives. I do believe in reincarnation with him. But anyway, so he was a person.
There's only so many souls. It says that in the like. There's the soul tree.
Isn't that a Jehovah's Witness shit? There's only so many fucking people.
Well, there's like a
Whatever the hell.
big. From what I remember, there's like a
That's
big
how
tree
many
that makes
people
all the
get into
souls,
heaven, dumbass.
and then like over time, the tree makes less and less souls.
I mean, maybe hence why, population of the worlds are diminishing exponentially
Also,
right
Lundy, going back a bit, you know how else sounded like a fucking schizophrenic? Every
Jesus.
fucking smart man in history.
A lot of them were.
Like
A lot of
Galileo? Like, hey, there's these, like, the fucking sun circles around the fucking sun. This guy, and again,
Well,
you know who did in Galileo? The Catholics.
Well, yeah, but he was also wrong. Like, that's a thing that you need to take into consideration.
Or like fucking Einstein. Like, I can fucking
Also,
say
Matt,
a bunch of
Galileo
theories.
was wrong by all reasonable fucking measures at the time. You
What
know
do
what
we,
the fuck his models said? His models were out here saying that waves were like 10,000 times bigger than they should have been. He was predicting that star systems would be in places they absolutely fucking weren't.
Do we call
like, he actually was wrong about a lot of bullshit because he didn't have the right math.
This is turning into the fucking Odyssey argument all over again.
I don't even give a shit. He was like here's the thing. People don't fucking realize this, but like the church was the scientists back in that particular time.
Lundy defended the Catholics as usual.
Do we call you AndE or
A&E?
No, Galileo is a case study in a person who was absolutely wrong in every fucking way possible.
He wasn't wrong in every way possible, though, right? He wasn't wrong in every.
Here's the thing: just because you like
Yeah, but
fucking
it's also
guess
a
yourself
thing of,
into being right about something later on down the
heliocentrism is
line,
it's a little bit
Just
of an
because-
out there idea to me.
just because you guess yourself right into something later on down the line doesn't mean that you were a genius.
You know about
the story of Isaac Newton is pretty interesting. Like, as far as just being a madman, like, I think they sold his writings recently, and he has more on religion than he ever had on science.
Yeah,
But-
he was a big. I think he was big into. I forget the fancy name for it. The soul
But I don't
math
think-
stuff.
Yeah, and I don't think he ever got married or ever dated or any like he was just in his own little world. Like, y'all leave me the fuck alone, man. I'm doing shit.
Yeah, I got apples to fall on my head. Also, good. Sorry, Lundy was talking over you. What did you want to say?
As I usually do.
A goat or me?
Goat was saying something, and I was talking over him as per
Yeah.
usual.
I'm going to forfeit my turn for this time to Andy.
By the way, Andy, the reason it doesn't seem
Matt.
like we talk over each other on this podcast is because of the recording thing Goat uses separates all of us into different voice channels, so he can layer it properly to make it listenable.
Oh, there you go.
helpful.
That's so. But what about this? What do y'all think about Nikola Tesla? And when not only I was having an argument with people the other day, like as far as I think it was one of his apprentices that like stole all his work for J.P. Morgan, where he was having to fight a lot for his patent. Kind of died alone and crazy, like most fucking geniuses do. But I don't know if y'all know this, but a person for the government came in to get all of like the writings and shit that he died with. It was Donald Trump's uncle, John Trump, was in charge of getting all the writings of Nikola Tesla when he died. I don't know if
Is
any of y'all.
Trump's middle name John?
His name's John Trump. His name's John Trump. This is his uncle. This was his uncle when Nikola Tesla died. So I mean, all this stuff, like people, like when they listen to this, because Napalm can say there's a lot of people at GGD was like, oh, I want to hear this as soon as it's released. They're gonna be on their computers right now, like, wait a minute, that can't be. Da, 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 da. So, but you know, there was
I
even
am so
like,
not surprised by that, in the same sense that I'm not surprised that all the world leaders are like within 6 generations removed from each other in terms of relation.
yeah, supposedly they go all back to Vlad the Impaler, which is
No,
the original.
a lot of them go back to fucking Genghis Khan.
Even Genghis Khan.
Well,
but-
the Asian ones.
And we
Yeah.
do know Vlad the Impaler. That's the Dracula. You know, that's where Dracula was. Bram Stoker's, at least.
Yeah, and he
Dracula.
was legit a vampire or some shit. I don't know.
Vlad the Impaler, boy. Like the Pope took him. Like they killed his parents. Dude, they killed his parent. His dad was the king. They killed his brother. He gets out. I think a Pope let him become back king. The greatest part of this story of Vlad the Impaler is when he came back to rule that area. And it might be even where Dracula, like that same area Dracula was in. But he had a big dinner. He had a party for 3 days or something. All the royalty was there. Everybody was there to celebrate him coming back. On the end of the 3rd day, he locked all the fucking doors and burnt that bitch to the ground and killed everybody in that bitch. Like he partied with them for 3 days and then killed every single one of those motherfuckers.
Yeah, because it's fucking crazy.
I mean,
But they go back way before that in terms of like relations as well. Like Vlad the Impaler is actually like relatively recent in terms of like actual history. It doesn't fucking surprise me that most of the fucking world leaders are in some way fucking connected. It wouldn't fucking surprise me if like other people who are incredibly influential and have been rich for generations are responsible for all manner of different fucking types of things, because that's just generational. Fucking if you're rich in one generation, that tends to fucking carry on down, and your descendants become influential as a result. That's just how it is.
I mean, keeping the bloodline and keeping that stuff going on, man. Like, okay, it's Lundy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, is there? Because it sounds like you've heard everyone under the sun. Was there any time a conspiracy theory kind of like, like maybe that sounded like something to you that that gave you a little bit of like wanting to go to a rabbit hole, or like no, there hasn't
When I
been.
was like many years ago, because here's the thing. I used to have a conspiracy theorist mindset when I was like 17, 18. So around that time, I started to think in those terms. I believed in the 9/11 conspiracies, or at least some of them. I don't fucking know if the fucking Jewish space laser shit was around at that particular time. I don't think I believe that much. Um, but it would not take it took me essentially reading beyond just like the superficial in terms of what people were telling me in terms of the conspiracy theories to realize nobody ever knows what the fuck they're talking about. Vast majority of people will just say something that is just blatantly false and take it as a fact and just be like, yeah, this is just how the world works, when it's just fucking not. Like the notion of like, well, a building can't fall in free fall. Why not? Well, because there's a bunch of resistance. What if all that resistance got burned away? What if all the
Okay.
support beams of a building get burned away first and then it falls? Then it has no resistance. So yes, it would probably be free fall at that particular point.
Okay, and so what was just like, so you said you did once believe in conspiracy theories, but what was that? Can you remember that time in your life when all of a sudden you were just like, wait a minute, I'm not going to believe in this bullshit anymore? These people are like, was there a certain like something that happened where all of a sudden your frame of mind changed with that kind of concept?
Yeah, actually reading the 9/11 Commission report and fucking all the various different scientists weighing in on the things that happened at that particular time. Reading all that sort of stuff gave me an idea. Like, here's the thing about conspiracy theories: what they do is they have you ask questions, but most people end there. They ask a question and then fill it in the blank with whatever's in their head, as opposed to actually trying to find out what the answers are. They just kind of they leave it at, well, isn't that weird? And then they just kind of go off in their own direction. So the problem with conspiracy theories, generally speaking, is you find like some semblance of facts, and you're like, that's an interesting group of facts. What does this mean? And then you just kind of make something up instead of actually trying to figure out what it actually means. Like like what I said earlier, all the various different world leaders are within like 6 or 7 generations removed from each other in relations. Why is that the case? Well, number one, not that long ago, the world population was only in the millions. So it's a lot. You'd probably be surprised how related most of us are, actually, when you think about it.
I think right now in history, not to cut you off with this, but and some people can look this up now, they do believe that, a lot of generations have been lost to history, but there is within scientific knowledge now, a mitochondrial Adam and a mitochondrial Eve, where
Yeah.
it seems that every single person on the face of the earth now can be, um, you know, brought back to, and as I said, that's, some people want to say like, oh, that proves, this Bible kind of, they're like, no, a lot of things died off, a lot of this died off, but everybody on the face of the earth seems to go back to one, original person and another original person, as far as
Now,
at least.
this is the other problem. Have you looked into what mitochondrial Eve and mitochondrial Adam mean as terms? What they're actually referring to?
The DNA of our body Like as far as like, just kind of like what, Napalm was talking about as far as, the branching off, like you said, like, if there was this kind of flood, which it seems like in all these different areas, there does seem to be a time in existence that science is saying that we withered down to maybe only a few thousand people that were living on the face of the earth.
All right.
So,
So mitochondrial Eve and mitochondrial Adam refer to our most recent common ancestors.
yeah,
Not
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah. I went the long route. I went the
by
long route.
virtue of that, that means we had ancestors before them as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like,
Also, to be fair, there's also not one mitochondrial Eve. I think there's 6 or 8.
Also, there's mitochondrial Adams that lived like 1,000 years or so after the mitochondrial Eves. So, like, this is not. This is.
I mean, but to be
This
fair,
is literally
though,
just
Bundy,
scientists
to
naming
Andy's
something to
point.
make it easier to understand.
To be fair to Andy's point, though, like, we did get to this position where, like, at one point, basically there were less than, like, 10,000 humans on this planet.
I don't know if we could say there was less than 10,000.
I think the lowest estimate is like
good enough for that.
There was 8,000 humans left, because
yeah. So either that or Napalm, you're kind of convincing me with these 8 mitochondrial Eves that maybe Adam had a harem. You know what I mean? He was just like, I got all you bitches.
Well, then it also doesn't make sense because some mitochondrial atoms, which we have multiples of those, actually show up like thousands of years later in the timeline from the mitochondrial
one of them was
Eves.
Adam, one of them was Adam, one of them was Seth, one of them was Moses, one of them was Lot. Gotcha, Lundy.
Why are you trying to punch holes in mine? I'm just kidding.
And so like essentially I think it's possibly the case that like the human population wasn't terribly high, but not because there wasn't that many humans, but because we were still in the process of having this like weird situation where the genetic markers differed ever so slightly from the humans' most common ancestor at that particular time to the point in which we were becoming humans. So the population wasn't as high because we were still essentially like a mutation at that particular point. It's like if you were to put a population of frogs in like at the top of a mountain, and then they start migrating, and then they start mutating as they go around the mountain, and changing their various different like smaller features, and eventually they become a different species as they start going around the mountain and get back to the top, to the point where they can't actually interbreed with each other anymore. That's more or less what I'm pretty sure is the case, based off of what I know at the time. But like none of this really indicates that there's like any validity to there was only one guy and one lady at one particular time and they birthed everybody. Like there's just no reason to believe that. It's not what the mitochondrial Adam and Eve even mean.
It doesn't, definitely. It was going back to you talking about all the kings and queens around come from a common ancestor. That doesn't, it makes perfect sense.
It's not surprising to me.
Yeah, it's not surprising at all. Yeah,
it wouldn't be surprising to me if I found out that like Napalm and I were within like fucking like 9 ancestors of each other, or whatever the fuck. Like
y'all are basically cousins, is what.
Like that's that. When you go back deep enough, everybody is cousins. That's kind of what genetics mean.
Yeah. So okay. As far as go, what is your feeling? As far as, is there ever been a conspiracy theory that made you kind of interested, or no? You just
here we
go. Where do you want me to start?
Oh yes, come on. Joe would be the guy that sits beside me at the bar and turns his head in both directions. I mean, whatever one. I mean, are you a person that can believe in conspiracy theories, or do you not? You just take them all at face value?
He absolutely is. He absolutely is.
I'm a big fan.
Before you answer this, go just to clarify though, to make sure that we are all understand, there is different things that were once conspiracy theories that are no longer a theory anymore. They've been proven to be true, whether we're talking, MK Ultra, and different things that the government has come out with that they have now said, like, hey, this is, they were trying mind control. They were trying this. Like in, the 60s, if somebody came up to y'all and was like, dude, I'm going to this place and these people are doing these fuck up tests to me. They're like, this is a theory. The government's not trying to fuck with you at all. But now it's true. So there are different conspiracy theories that become basically what would be considered conspiracy facts.
No, I agree with that 100%. There are certain things that get revealed over time, sometimes to mock the general public. Sometimes,
and it doesn't have to be even a government thing. And I do want to hear this in a second, but that's the whole reason we have what is called the RICO Act. That is, the government going, and it's not, people in the government. It's me being like, hey, man, I want to do this with you. We're going to make some money, da da da. They bring RICO charges on us and prove that we were conspiring with each other. Before we're found guilty from the government, that's just a conspiracy theory until the government proves, like, hey, I got all your phone records, bitch. Like, you got me.
absolutely, absolutely.
So what is there a favorite one you have, Goat, or is there one that kind of fascinated you more than others, or?
There are a couple of them that I think of every now and again. I kind of think that, have you ever heard of geocentrism?
You'd have to go a little bit deeper with me. I'm ready to go down the rabbit hole, man.
Okay, so I was trying to get this out there earlier with Lundy, but what actual proof is there that the Earth revolves around the sun and not vice versa?
There is, like, I have, I did hear somebody mention this. I think it wasn't even an argument by, is his name like Alex O'Connor or something like that, that was joking with, that because human beings are the ones that are viewing this, how is it not that from that perspective that we are the center of the universe, because we are the ones perceiving all of this, and through that perception creates that center. Does that make sense, Scott, or is that
No, 100%. You're going down the rabbit hole. You're following the carrot.
Yeah, what do you think, Lundy?
Oh, whether or not the fucking Earth goes around the sun?
The weather even it could be.
Remember, Lundy, you're the one that said fucking Galileo was wrong. So pick your answer carefully on something.
Understand what I mean when I say that, though. I wasn't saying that he was wrong in the sense that he fucking got his theories were 100% incorrect. I was saying that the models that he created in order to prove his theories were incorrect, and he just kind of went with it anyway.
You know what that sounds like, Lundy? Goalpost moving.
Oh, shit. Here we go. We're now to a 45-yard field goal. We'll see if we can move it back some.
I'm going to bump and spike and say Galileo is a descendant of Catholicism and therefore a pedophile, and all of his theories are null and void.
Like, so here's the deal. What would it look like if the Earth revolved around the sun? What would we see?
It would be the same thing, right? Yeah.
Why?
It would be because it's from our perspective.
Why would it look like that?
Why wouldn't it?
I'm asking you, why would it look like that?
I'm asking you.
What model are you using?
I'm also
to
asking
figure
you
that
this,
out?
Lundy, and by democracy, we outvote you, so you have to explain why it wouldn't.
No, you don't understand the reason why I'm asking this question. I'm asking why would it look like that? Because I'm asking fucking what model are you using to get to that conclusion? How do you know it would look like that? What is the actual model?
The model is if the principle works one way, it should work the opposite direction. There should not be any type of
Because the way the models work, in terms of like how we can come to a
Here's a
reasonable
question,
conclusion
Lundy.
about
How can the
reality.
moon cover up the sun if it's supposed to be smaller? Have you ever tried covering up a basketball with a pea?
Have you ever held your finger up to the sun and like covered it up?
no.
You know you can do that, right? You can
Yeah,
do
I
My
that.
was
hand's too
taught not
small
to
for
look
that.
at the sun.
Is your hand bigger than the sun?
No.
Then why can your hand block the sun?
Is your dick smaller than your hand? Why do you jack off, faggot?
Yeah, great fucking answer, brother. Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, Lundy, by the rules of the
Andy,
podcast, Goat did pull the F slur card, so automatically making you the loser. But now Goat can't use that card for the rest of the episode because it's on cooldown for him.
Yeah. Okay, Napalm. Okay, now to you, man. Is there one that ever got you where you were, or you were, have always been like, no,
I have to
no,
charge up
I
my
can't.
combo in the corner for a little bit.
Yeah, Napalm. Has there ever been one for you, Napalm, that you were like,
Yeah,
fuck
I'm a big
me.
fan of the Vegas shooting.
That's a good one.
dude, I'm a huge fan of the Vegas shooting. I know a good bit about it.
Like, nothing makes sense about it. The conspiracy theories don't make sense. The official story doesn't make sense.
Dude, I've studied this a good bit and know a little bit about stuff that's
His brothers
like,
are just weirdos. One of them was a pedophile who lived in a bank. His dad was a fucking FBI's most wanted.
dude, that's a great one, man, because there's two things about that a lot of people don't know. There's a lot of video from police cameras on this, but there
Mom
seems to
was
be
fucking a CIA dude in 60s.
there was multiple helicopters from a place called Maverick Rental Helicopters that were over that place, and they show in police body cam that they were not on radar, but they were over the place, and there's different reports of people talking about people shooting from helicopters in the sky. I don't know if you've ever heard about those reports about Vegas.
Yeah, I've heard about the helicopters.
Another interesting thing that I think there's a Saudi situation with that people can kind of look up, that I think the top four floors of that hotel was owned, and this was right when Masaba, what is his name, MSB, bin Salam, bin Salam was like just becoming, he was just becoming the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. There's stories that possibly he was meeting with Kushner and Ivanka Trump up in the top of that hotel when this happened. And as I said, this is a conspiracy theory that's part of the reason Ivanka Trump does not want any part of her father's presidency this time, because she got a big taste of some real shit. But less than a month later was when he did Ben Salam did the Night of the Long Sword, where he came and rounded up all his political enemies. There's a story about the guy that, like, his name is, he owned a lot of Twitter when Elon was buying it and was doing post. I can't think of his name. I'll think of it in a second, maybe. But he was very rich. He I think he was like the brother of the king, or like something related to the king. And Supposedly, they hung him upside down naked and beat that motherfucker's ass. God, I can't think of his name right now, but he owned a lot of Twitter when it was public. But supposedly there might have been like assassination attempt on Ben Salam when that night happened that we're not being told about. Like there's a lot of different stories about that night with the Vegas shooting that do not make sense at all.
I mean, I don't know anything about the Vegas shooting, so I can't fucking comment.
Yeah, I can't look it up on my phone or possibly make me go robot, but it was a guy. He's the biggest investor in the Muslim like investment group. God, his name is right there on my tongue. But he was fighting Elon Musk. He did not want him to buy this, but he was one of the biggest people that should have supposedly become the king. Khashoggi being killed in that embassy was supposedly a part of that situation, possibly. I mean,
Who?
that was kind of crazy that he got away with that shit. Like, just
You don't know Khashoggi? He made the Middle East's most popular cereal. Khashoggi cornflakes.
dude.
Special K. I don't know. That was a bad joke.
That he got away with that. Like, this guy goes in to get a marriage license, and it's like, hey, good to see you, buddy.
I just don't. I don't know anything about the fucking Vegas shooting, so I can't comment on it. But here's the thing. That's something that more people need to be comfortable with. And that's one of my main problems with like conspiracy theories as a concept. Like my dad's a conspiracy theorist. I don't know if you know about that story about all the fucking drones just flying around the East Coast right now. Like there's a bunch of them. And everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on with all these drones?" So he asks me. He's like, "What do you think's going on with all the drones?" And I'm like, "I don't know yet because I haven't looked into it." And he said, and I'm like, "Has anybody made any statements?" He said, "Well, that's actually the problem. No one's making a statement." I'm like, "Well, then why do you have an opinion on it?"
See, Lundy, that's what made me go, this is nothing to worry about.
Exactly. I agree with that. Because the thing is,
because the fact that Trump never said anything about the drones is like, yeah, Trump would love to fucking take any chance he can to fucking bash Biden or like the liberal fucking Democratic governors of New Jersey and fucking New York and shit. So he's not taking that opportunity. So I'm pretty sure as incoming president, somebody at the DOD was like, hey, we're doing a thing. What I think is happening is I think they're mapping out like air traffic lanes for military stuff because a lot of it has been centered around military bases in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, I think both of those, like, first of all, I do think that Trump came out with a statement like, why is our government not telling da-da-da? So I think that's a little bit wrong. I think it's possibly on Truth Social. He did do something to just, because he's going to, get involved with any type of shit like that. But our own government coming up and being like, hey, we really don't know what this is, but you have nothing to worry about, kind of means it's kind of a government operation, and we just can't kind of say anything about it.
Also, if these were like a foreign entity's drones, like, they wouldn't be lit up. And I also think a lot of the drone sightings after the initial drone sightings were like mistaken identity, mass hysteria stuff.
Look, here's the thing for me. There's a bunch of drones going around. That's not really all that fucking weird to me. You want to know why it's not all that fucking weird to me? Because more people have drones now. Did you know that fucking insurance companies are using drones to just go around to people's houses and check their roofs?
Well, like the thing I was bringing up, Lundy, to explain this kind of like mass hysteria stuff and like people just being like, hey, there's like a weird thing in the sky is back when California was having the wildfires and it knocked out a lot of power to Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Emergency Services got like inundated with calls from people being like the sky is so fucking bright. What they're like, did an explosion go off? What's happening? And it turns out they were seeing the Milky Way for the first time. Without all that light pollution,
that happened in
saw.
Chicago. That happened in Chicago. I heard a story that happened in Chicago when the power went out, and they thought there was a gas attack happening. I heard that same story. They'd never seen the Milky Way galaxy. I heard that same story with Chicago one time. So that's true. Okay.
Sometimes people just don't know shit. And then
yeah,
they
so
just come up with ideas.
That's why I think like those initial drones were probably like some kind like the military either testing maybe some like defense capabilities or something, or what I think is like I said, they were mapping out new flight paths and stuff. But also, like, again, people were sending up their own drones to try to catch those drones, and if you're like a block away from a guy who's doing that, you just see a fucking drone start flying up, like you're gonna be like, oh, that's one of those drones people are talking about right there.
Okay, but I got a good one since Goat's been sitting in the corner. I want to ask Goat because personally, him first. What do you think about this Mandela effect? Is this just some people remembering stuff the total wrong way, or what? Do you have a thought on the Mandela effect, Goat?
I'm just gonna say I remember the past a little bit differently than some people.
Were you gonna say I remember the Bears being Jewish?
They could have been.
That was the perfect universe where the Bernstein Bears existed.
I mean, hearing some of these ones, like the one that's gotten me recently is this is supposedly a newer one they're saying, but it's the song for Christmas, like "I'll Be Home for Christmas." I've always remembered it as "You Can Count on Me," as far as that line in it, and it turns out it's "You Can Plan on Me."
See, the one thing that turns me off of the Mandela effect, Andy, is other than the thing it's actually named after, the whole like, oh, I remember Nelson Mandela dying in like the prison in the 80s. A lot of it is just like pop culture stuff.
One of the reasons why I thought, for instance, that Darth Vader said, "Luke, I am your father," instead of "No, I am your father," is because fucking Tommy Boy. I don't know if you remember that fucking movie.
Well, that's
with,
like one of the things I always bring up is like, if you think about it, the reason people probably started saying that is because it's like, oh yeah, before fucking the nerds took over and ruined fucking everything culturally, a lot of people weren't fucking nerds and shit, so they wouldn't know the Star Wars line. So that, like, if you just go, "I am your father," they'd be like, "What is that from? What are you doing? You're not my dad. Who are you? Stranger danger."
Well, for me, the reason why I was convinced that was the case was basically just because of the way that fucking Chris Farley says it in the movie. Like, there's literally a joke, because the whole thing is that Chris Farley's character is like a little goofball. So he's like he's in his office and he's got a fan and he's like talking into the fan, going ooh la la, like making fucking dumb noises, and he goes la la la, Luke, I am your father, and then so that became my understanding. Where I'm like, oh,
like,
that must be the line from the movie.
In the movie, like, it doesn't make any sense for him to say, "Luke, I am your," because the whole scene is like him be. Because remember, we did a little role play of that one time, Lundy, and the Lightbringer defeats Darth Vader. Classic episode. Anyways, like Luke is like, "No, Obi-Wan told me you killed my father," and then Darth Vader's response is, "No, I am your father."
I'm just saying.
It wouldn't make any sense to be like, Luke, because it's like, Yeah, that's my name. Don't wear it out. I'm in a lot of pain because of the blood loss, and you cutting my hand off with a fucking laser sword, you prick.
I just want to say I want to buy like a worn out old looking shirt that has the cornucopia on Fruit of the Loom just to wear it around places so that people just like, dude, it has the cornucopia. Like, just, I think that'd be a cool shirt to like
Yeah, I'd give the
purchase.
Mandela effect more play if there were more things like the Nelson Mandela thing, and it wasn't more just like, oh yeah, I remember this song differently. Because that's the thing with like, especially songs. Before, there was internet and stuff and like CD cases and shit. A lot of times you did not, you couldn't like get the actual lyrics to a song, so you just had to go off of what you were fucking hearing. And a lot of times shit is just like, oh, okay, that's what they're saying. I remember the
There's
first time I looked up the lyrics to a Red Hot Chili's Pepper song, I was like, wow, I got like 75% of this fucking wrong.
that's true. That's true. I mean, but I mean, as a like I guess it just depends on the type of person, and I love a conspiracy. I mean, we got some recent ones in the last days as far as what exactly was the person doing with that cyber truck. Obviously, it seems like he didn't want to kill anybody. It's like he didn't want to blow that place up. Some people are talking about that manifesto that he sent in to that guy. I've seen some other videos with him after that interview. Is the guy named Sean Livingston or something like that, or whatever? But they're talking about there's a cursor and there's words that are not written correctly, and so there's scribbles underneath them, so it looks more like somebody wrote that. The crooks, shooting at the president, and I guess supposedly hitting his ear or whatever, shrapnel, whatever freaking happened. But there's stories that it seems to be 100% true. They came to his house, raided his house, and there was no silverware in the house. Like, that's supposedly a part of the story. The guy that did New Orleans, like, so there's always going to be new conspiracy theories, and they could be just like, hey man, this guy's just crazy. The guy's just crazy. He just did this. With the one that happened in Vegas and the one that happened in New Orleans, they might have served in Afghanistan together. They might have served in different places. Like, I think they're interesting. Do conspiracies ever lead, especially if they're considered theories, do they ever kind of lead anywhere? I don't know. Like, I think it just leads to a place like where you can kind of, enjoy. It's like watching a movie and being
Well,
kind of,
sometimes they can lead to places like there's the like this is always a favorite one I always bring up to like fuddy duddies like Lundy who are like conspiracy theories are bupkis is the boys on the tracks.
the ones that got electrocuted or what?
No, so in the late 80s, well, mid to late 80s, during the peak of like cocaine trafficking in the Appalachian region, there were these two boys in Arkansas who got murdered by this fucking this fucking district attorney because he was like the fucking dude trafficking drugs in the region, and they stumbled on him one night, and they staged it to look like, oh, they were like high and they fell asleep on some train tracks and got run over by a train. And for like a good 10, 15 years, that shit was like, Oh yeah, that's what happened. Like, we can't prove otherwise, but like a lot of the parents, the parent of those boys, they were like, "Nah, this don't make sense." Like, so they kept pushing it and pushing it, and later on, like the DA started killing a lot of his accomplices, and one of them managed to get to the police in time to be like, yeah, not only is the DA this fucking huge like drug trafficker, and he also killed a bunch of the people who were working for him, he also killed those 2 fucking boys and put them on the train track.
Yeah, and that's so.
And this
That's,
also gets connected to the Clinton kill list as well, because like I said, it took place in Arkansas while Bill Clinton was governor, and if I remember correctly, the DA was a Democrat, so he did know Bill Clinton because of that. He was part of the state Democratic Party, but there's never been any real conclusive evidence one way or the other that Bill Clinton had any involvement in this. But, like, yeah, that's a conspiracy theory that ultimately, like, yeah, because people kept fucking digging at it and, like, fucking not letting it scab over and just be forgotten. Eventually, a scumbag finally faced the justice they were due.
What do you think about that, Lundy?
I think that every once in a while a fucking conspiracy is true, but the time to believe it is when you have good reason to. Like you can't just believe, you can't say something is true before you have an actual reason to think it.
You don't want to just be like, this sounds cool and I hope it's real.
No,
that's what I do a lot.
Yeah,
not like legitimately.
It's like,
I
you
might
know
say
what?
that as a joke.
I do hope the Earth is 6,000 years old and Jesus rode on a brontosaurus, because that would be fucking dope.
Yeah. See, like, you know, I mean, like,
I
don't know if it's.
I think what's real is interesting. I don't think you need to like screw around with what's real to fucking make something interesting.
Reality sucks, Lundy. This is why fucking we have imagination.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, dude, suspending your belief, you know, whether you're watching a movie or this or that, if you're just like, you know, oh, I'm just watching actors, you know, screw this movie. Like, you have to suspend your belief to enjoy a movie, like, fully.
Well, that's an entirely different thing.
No, I think it's
Trust me, I do acting work. I understand the idea of playing a role and not being like legitimately the person that people think you are and all that sort of shit. I get that. That's not really like a confusing notion to me.
So, I mean, but it's not a conspiracy, you know, that maybe, you know, Ellen DeGeneres like left for a reason, you know, our country, or, you know, some of these people that are already like actors and stuff are, you know, really, you know, living kind of a different life than we really think they're living, you know? I mean, how much do you think? Do you not take any credence in any of the P Diddy kind of situation, or the?
No, I do take a lot of credence in that, but the reason is because there's loads of reasons to believe it. Because people have been talking about this in Hollywood. No, people have been talking about these sorts of things in Hollywood for fucking years.
What if he was making them, Lundy? What if he was making them play fucking Risk for 3 days straight? Your hands would get chapped. You need the baby oil. Justin Bieber would be over in the corner speaking Chinese.
I mean, it's just a theory. There's nothing. People have been speaking on it, Lundy. Like, it's not
surprising to me that P. Diddy is out here fucking doing like weird sex parties, because weird sex parties have been fundamental to the culture of Hollywood since fucking forever.
But it's more than that.
So you agree that Hollywood is just filled with pedophiles, then?
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Lundy's one of us.
We could wrap
Gooble,
it up.
gobble, geeble, gobble, one of us.
No, because
one
this seems to be like a weirdly consistent thing where once someone gets like powerful, famous, or whatever, and this kind of goes to there's a lot of evidence for this as well in terms of like reading the psychology reports of like people who actually like become rich or have like a lot of influence or authority, things like that. People start to just kind of do stuff to see if they can get away with it.
Well, you know who never diddled a kid? John Candy.
You don't know.
Shut up. You take that back.
You don't
You
fucking
take
know.
that back about John Candy.
Is he your fucking sacred cow?
Sean Candy. Oh, dude. I mean,
Uncle Buck.
he's basically
not allowed to have done
Buddha.
anything wrong.
He's basically Buddha reincarnated, as far as I'm concerned.
Arbitrary.
But I mean, I feel like, with wrapping up or depending on how long y'all want to go with this, we've converted Lundy back to being a conspiracy theorist.
Nah. Not even kind of. Because I can cite interviews that people have been giving as far as
You believe in the pedophile elite.
I don't believe in the pedophile elite. I don't think there's like some sort of like fucking ring of sex traffickers amongst Hollywood or whatever the fuck. But I do believe there's a decent amount of fucking people who just diddle kids because they're like, well, I'm rich, I'm famous, and I can do whatever I want, and it fucks with their head. Their psychology gets screwed up.
That just sounds like a long way of saying pedophile elite.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think
being rich screws with your head.
I think we've converted somebody back to the dark side.
Then why wasn't Rockefeller a pedophile or Carnegie? They just were like.
How do you know they weren't?
Because it's been 100 years. I'm pretty sure it would come out by now.
Why?
Because it always comes out eventually. Yes, it does.
What do you mean? How can you know that? How can you
name one person in history you think is a pedophile, but it never got confirmed?
Rockefeller.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I can. I just did, Matt. And guess what, Matt? That's the exact fucking argument you would give.
You didn't even know who Rockefeller was before I said his fucking name.
What are you talking about? One of the most famous, richest guys in the entirety of the history of the world. I didn't know who he was.
What was his first name?
John. John D. Rockefeller.
I don't know his first name, so I'm going to take your word on that.
I think there's been some interviews about him recently, right? That woman came on Patrick Bet David or something like podcasts.
I don't know.
No, I think that was about his son.
Yeah, I think that was his son. You're right. I mean, but I'm just glad it sounds like...
his grandson got eaten by cannibals?
Yeah.
Wait, was he eaten or was he just murdered?
He was eaten. He was definitely...
his body.
Yeah, he was definitely murdered by him, and the people he was murdered by were cannibals, so it's like, yeah, they probably did not let that go to waste.
Well, I thought they found his body is the thing.
No, I don't think they did.
I think they found a skull that they thought might be his, but I think the DNA came back and it was like, this was some other white guy these motherfuckers murdered and ate.
Just went and hung out with cannibals like, hey, I want to be your friend. Hey.
I mean, apparently they were pretty cool for the most part until, I don't know, until he sneezed in front of the chief or something, or with the wrong hand. I don't know proper cannibal tribe etiquette.
I think we found out that Lundy has not totally turned in his conspiracy theory badge. I think there's a couple of conspiracy theories that he still believes in.
I always believe something for good reason. That's what I do.
I think
or at least I try to.
I think the reason why to check out conspiracy theories is there's good reason to to wonder about whether it's the elites or whether it's the government or this or that might be doing propaganda or might be doing blackmail or might be doing different stuff, like, and not just accept, like, okay, what was it in the 50s or the whatever, like 4 out of 5 doctors believe smoking is good for you. If we were living back during then, it was like, well, no, doctors did the research on it. Turns out smoking's great. Conspiracy theories might be like, I don't know, I've been developing this cough and
Also, Lundy, what's more fun? Living in a world where, due to environmental and geographical pressures, people diverged in skin color, or 6,000 years ago, the mad scientist Yakub created fucking white people in a cave off of the coast of Greece from some monkeys and ice runes. I'd rather live in the Yakubian universe, Lundy, because that's more fun.
Valid point. I'm giving him a point on the board for that one.
I don't know why that's more fun to you. Yeah, I don't even have the slightest notion.
You don't think it's more fun to be the byproduct of some fucking asshole's hubris?
No.
You just...
Dude, he's the guy
life.
I don't understand why you think that's more fucking fun. Like, what do you mean that's that?
Wake up, work, eat, sleep. That's Lundy.
You're doing that either way.
Dude,
whether you are a product of Yakub or not. Like, why does it make it? Why do you want your existence to be so much more insignificant?
How's that more insignificant? We were created as the perfect super soldiers. We successfully stole the black man's history, Lundy. They think we built fucking everything, when it was really the fucking golden city of Mecca.
What?
I didn't stutter.
Lundy, like, I'm just saying, he'd be a party pooper. We'd be having a good time. He's just like, kind of, I got, big workload this next week.
The only thing that I party poop on is conspiracy theories, okay?
I am more than capable of having... That's why they invited you,
And by the way, I'm not even that much of a party pooper when it comes to conspiracy theories, because I've had to learn how to control myself because of my fucking dad, because I don't want him to hate me. Because I don't want him to think I think he's stupid. Because that's something that I've had to work on. Because whenever my dad fucking comes at me with a conspiracy theory, I gotta be like, all right, how do I talk to him about this without him thinking that I think he's retarded?
You just gotta have fun with him.
Can you do me a favor? Can you change Lundy's name to Party Pooper? Thank you.
There's some shit that I just let him have. He thinks his dogs are reincarnations of his previous dogs.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If he wants to believe that, and his whole reasoning is because they act like dogs, essentially. He's like, well, when they both raise their heads up at the same time when someone comes to the door. Yeah, Dad, that's what dogs do. Like, his reasoning is so dumb, but like, at the same time, there's no reason to argue with him about it. It doesn't affect my life if he thinks his dogs are reincarnations of his previous dogs.
Lundy would, like, if you were a parent, you would just have, like, a child and they'd see a firefly and they'd be like, look, Daddy, it's Tinkerbell. And you'd be like, wrong. You're so stupid. It's a bug with bioluminescence, you fucking idiot. Go back into the box.
I'd be very confused if my child thought that a fucking firefly was Tinkerbell. How can you look at Tinkerbell, look at a firefly, and go, yeah,
meanwhile,
same thing.
I'm out in my backyard with Gub Gub Jr., and he's like, Dad, look, he's Godzilla! And I'm like, it sure is, buddy. Sure is.
Dude. I mean, dude, Lundy, half the people in the party already just left, man. They just were like, man, this.
Lundy's just like, you don't get a wish for blowing on candles. That's stupid. There's no such thing as birthday magic, you fucking mongoloid.
Look, I've been in this situation. I'm on podcast right now. I'm going full fucking like crazy mode and goblin mode right now. Chaos mode, one might even say. I will go. I don't have a filter at this particular juncture. Fucking gesture. What the hell? Did I
You
just
do. You don't share the podcast on your server.
Yeah, you're goddamn right. I don't.
Because everybody would be like, why are we paying this no imagination having motherfucker?
Yeah.
I have loads of imagination. I love telling fictional stories.
Yet you
I just
won't
don't believe they're
in
real.
your coop. Lundy,
I love
you
fucking. I love anime. I love TV shows. I love fucking movies. I love fucking fantasy stories. I love all this shit. I just don't think they're real. That's the difference.
Lundy. I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I fucking run D&D games for people. I run cyberpunk games for
Oh,
people.
yeah.
I
Lundy.
love coming together and collaboratively telling stories and shit like that. That's all fun. I love that. I just don't sit here and like, by the way, my character actually exists in an alternate universe and I can speak with them psychically. I'll be like, yeah, no. I don't think that's the case.
You have to believe in the little lies so they can become real.
If one of my players came to me and said that they speak to the character that they fucking made in their head, I'd be like, you should probably see a doctor.
Think justice and mercy are real things? No. But they're lies we tell ourselves, and we told it enough times, we're like, yeah, I guess there is something like justice.
I think my dick in your butt's a real thing.
Dude, that was a truth bomb. I feel like that was a truth bomb, Napalm. I think that was a truth bomb.
See, this is why I'm going to live forever, Lundy, because when I die...
Because you believe
it's gonna be at the hands of my Topa. Like, my thought form is gonna come in and be like, I will take over your legacy now, father. And I'll be like, good. Now I can rest. And then he just beats me to death with a rock.
What's wrong with just unironic, with just not like believing something but thinking it's funny if it is true? What's wrong with that? How different is that?
It's nerd shit.
I mean, as a start, I feel like I don't think you're not a total non-conspiracy theorist person. I
think everybody's got a little bit of conspiracy theorist in them. It's just a matter of tempering it so that you don't fucking go crazy.
Lundy would be the guy watching the Peter Pan play, being like, I'm not clapping my hands. Tinkerbell's life does not depend on me clapping or not clapping. You guys are idiots. You're expending energy that you could be using to think like me. Big logical Lundy.
The most logical person.
Look at my brain. I look like Jimmy Neutron. How about you go brain blast some fucking fun, Lundy?
What the fuck does that even mean?
I don't know, but I mean it when I says it.
I mean, there's the great line is, if you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything. You got to believe in something.
I do. I have an entire epistemology that I have been working on for a very long time to figure out exactly how to tell the difference between fact and
I have an epistemology that I nerd.
But that's what it actually refers to. Because there's loads of conspiracy theories out there that contradict each other. You can't believe in all of them. But if you're open to all of them,
you can't believe in all of them.
Because that actually is falling for everything.
So there's this thing in the series Elder Scrolls Lundy called a dragon break.
Yeah. Okay.
And periodically that happens because we are in a simulation. Everything crashes. So for a split moment, everything that is fake is real and everything that's real is fake, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I'll give you. I'll give y'all, depending on how much long you want to go. I'll give you a conspiracy theory that I believe in that I don't think anybody has ever said
I think that's a
that
good
I
place to
haven't
end
heard.
it on. Is like doing that as the grand finale.
Yeah, this is the grand finale. I'm going to give a
Your
conspiracy
very
theory.
own
I
unique
haven't.
conspiracy theory.
This is a unique. This is one for me that I am putting out there now into to the ether. Okay, and what this involves is our DNA and
Okay.
how we have like what they consider like 96% junk DNA. But what we have found, like they did a Harvard test, and people that can look this up, um, they were able to imprint a handprint, and you probably will know this, Lundy, that when we created motion pictures, the reason we created motion pictures was a person making a bet on a horse race, or not a horse race, just a horse, and whether their feet were all off the ground at one time. And they put the pictures together, and it became basically the first ever motion picture that we created. And so it was like 4 or 5 different pictures of a horse galloping to see if they ever were off the and so they took a picture of a handprint and took those 5 pictures of this horse race pictures, and they inserted them into E. coli DNA. They were able to take the data of those pictures and put them into E. coli within Harvard. They did this study and were able to do this. I think that inside our body, we already have an imprint of a possible past civilization that was as advanced or more advanced than we are. And that part of that 96% junk DNA, because they've already found that I think 1 inch of DNA can store as much data as a phone. When the study was done, it was like way more like phones than that. But I think phones have advanced since then. So, but our DNA can hold data. And I think the junk DNA in our data is actually computer code that actually stores the history of a past civilization before we were here like 10,000 years ago. That they were able to store computer code within our DNA that we will find one day in the future and be able to decipher.
It
I
sounds like
am
some
so
YouTube
fucking
shit.
confused.
No, I get this honestly, Lundy. It's like so for the sake of simplification, I'm gonna I'm gonna just couch this in Yakub shit, okay? So it's like Yakub was like, okay, I wanna keep some records around. I'm gonna use the new humans I have made as biochips, as like bio storage devices.
Right.
And if we can figure out a way to crack the code, we can make an even stronger race of white people. Now, that's not exactly what Andy is saying with this, but that's my explanation of it. It's Andy through me to you, coast to coast.
I just feel like we went from one thing to another that would just I saw zero connection. Like I get the idea of like maybe our DNA was constructed by like some group in the very long past that is like essentially entirely alien to us, and that we'll find some sort of like proof of that here in the future, that we were like designed by like aliens or some shit, or an ancient civilization. But I don't understand what that has to do with motion pictures and horses and E. coli.
It's because we've replicated the ability to store data on simple organisms' DNA.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying we can. As I said, this is a. I've never heard anybody say this conspiracy theory. I'm putting it out there in the ether. This is a brand new one that I've never heard anybody say before. Maybe somebody will look it up and say, no, somebody
like
else has said that. I'm saying that within our junk DNA that we don't recognize, we've already learned how to store data within DNA. Harvard's been able to show that. And I think that one day we will break down our data and find pictures, find history, find.
So our DNA has movies on it.
If you want to dumb it down, sure.
I'm just asking.
Oh, you're breaking. Oh shit, Andy. They've come for Andy. He's breaking up.
Yeah, I can't hear a damn thing Andy's saying anymore. Fuck.
And we lost him.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good
He
place
came
to
too
end
close
it.
to the truth.
Yeah, they killed it. Oh fuck. This was a. Oh, he's up there.
What the fuck?
See, as soon as I bring that up, that's a great time for us to end. As
Yeah, we
soon
were
as I
worried they
bring
actually
that,
killed you for a second. Wouldn't you
yeah,
have felt fucking dumb if they did, Lundy? It's like, do you believe in conspiracy theories now? They
I
killed
blame
fucking
you,
poor
Matt.
Andy.
You're the
I
one
mean,
who brought
I
him on
would be.
here to have the fucking chat about conspiracy theories, and you're the one who encouraged him to make that.
I'm not gonna lie, I
So I'd
did
be like,
feel.
Matt.
There was a split second where I was like, oh shit, did I get a guy killed?
yeah. No, I mean, but let's see in the future. And y'all remember back to this day, if it turns out we find pictures, we can store data in DNA. And we have a lot of DNA in our body. There's a lot of places to store data. And I think there's a lot of storing of I think we've been around for millions of years. I don't think we just, 10,000 years ago started agriculture and just da da da. I think the pyramids are way older than we're being told. That's a part of Edgar Casey's kind of prophecy. To go back to the beginning, to finish off, to go all the way back. Edgar Casey said, he mentioned Atlantis just like um, Plato did, and fucking said that there were three Hall of Records that were left on this earth. He said that one is under the paw of the Sphinx. I think it's the right paw of the Sphinx. One has been left in the Yucatan Peninsula, and the other one was when Atlantis went down and is down there. They've done sonar testings as far as this ARE, I think it's called, research as far as the KC. They've done sonar testing over at the paw of the Sphinx. There is something underneath there, as far as a tunnel underneath there, but the Egyptian government won't allow them to try to look at it. We'll see. But I think Atlantis was real. I think it was a real place. I think they left behind a history. And I think that we're going to find within our DNA intelligence that we did not realize that they planted inside human beings, um, a past history of our world.
Well, I'll believe that when I think there's reason to believe that.
I mean, yeah,
I
and so
I don't see it at the moment.
yeah, I mean, but as again, you're a damn party pooper, and half the party loved it. Does I'm just, as I said, I enjoy the
I'll die on the
idea.
hill of being a party pooper. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, dude, I believe the pyramids are way older than we give them credit for. I don't think there was slave labor that did it. I don't. I think it's probably more sound kind of technology that they use to move these boulders and stuff like that. I don't. The way they're cut, I don't think that they were. It's not that they were using sophisticated machines at that time. I think it's more that they understood how to manipulate the stone, possibly through kind of some liquid or something like that, that they were able to polish them down to fit so precise with each other. But it does not make sense that these pyramids were built by modern man. I think they were done by a generation, possibly like 100 generations before us. I think we've blown ourselves off the face of the earth. I wouldn't be surprised if there was over as many people on the earth back then as there is today, because all the cars, every single building, every single thing that's on the face of the earth right now would turn to rust if we blew ourselves off the face of the map in a million years we came back. We would not recognize anything from the life that we've had now. It would be gone. Every bit of it, except for possibly the pyramids.
Nah.
And even when they went to the pyramids in America, when Cortez found the Incas and all that stuff, he's like, "What's up with these pyramids?" They admitted, at least, unlike in Egypt, like I don't think Egypt ever said one way or the other, but the Mayan pyramids, the Incas said, "I don't know. They were here before we got here. They were here already." Like they did not claim. The Incas did not claim those pyramids. They were just like, they were here. We don't know how they got here.
I don't think that's true. I'm pretty sure the Incas take credit for this.
No, they do not at all.
Okay.
They do. But I mean, but people can look up. There's going to be a lot of different stuff for people to look up. Whether I'm bullshit. There's going to be people like on DGG that are like, "Oh shit, I need to talk to you about this that I heard on this." I know Napalm can subscribe to this, that there's a lot of people looking forward to this coming out so that they can hear this. And I'm going to
Thankfully,
get.
you didn't do anything like Jamie did where you were going to get executed.
Yeah.
Well, see, I just talked about.
Really should have tried to stop Jamie from talking about the Jews.
But dude, as I said, I really enjoyed it, man. I think besides Lundy, getting half the people to leave the party, just everybody was having a
You
good
need
time.
party poopers. You need party poopers in life. Because
You
otherwise
basically knocked Goat out, Lundy.
that's fine. You need party poopers in life because, some people just straight up will lie to themselves. And you need somebody there to be like, "Hey dude, you're fucking dumb." All right? You need that. If you don't have that, remember the drug episode? People lying to themselves and being like, "Oh no, I'm fine, dude. I don't do anything wrong." And it's like you're killing yourself. What are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. Stop being dumb. You need that in life.
Well, I think conspiracy theorists are the people that are like, "Hey, Emperor, you have no pants on, man." Like I think I think a lot of people just look at the data or look at, "Oh no, there was a report put out on this and it said everything was okay. Don't worry about this in your food. Don't worry about this as far as that, or where the origins of this happened from, or we got it all taken care of." You just believe this, and there's always going to be a paper, and there's always going to be, if you look behind it, who paid for that paper going out. And I think it's in the best interest of big money, big stuff like that. So I mean, there'll always be people that are going to be like, "Oh no, we already have the data showing that what you're saying is totally wrong," but who profits off of it? And I think that's relative. Could it come out like 20 or 30 years later that, oh shit, oh yeah, all these people died because people were making big money and saying that this was okay, and it turns out like they were lying to us because of profits. Okay, like, but I guess at the time you can just believe that from a paper. But I think to imagine a world like, to look like who profits from putting out this or that, I think is something to consider within any conspiracy theory. Like, why would who benefits? Like, why would they do this? And who benefits from what's doing it? And I think that's healthy instead of just being like, nope, nope, I'm not going to listen to any of that because it would cause a paradigm shift in my belief.
The reason why I don't listen to shit is not because it causes a paradigm shift. Because I do listen to shit. And I look into it whenever I have the desire to, anyway. And when I don't believe something, that's not me saying it's false. That's me saying I don't believe that yet. Nobody's given me a good reason to yet. I haven't looked into it. I don't know. That is more people need to be fine with just being like, I don't know. That needs to be an acceptable answer in people's heads at some point.
I can agree with that.
I don't. Always speculate. Conjure imagination.
Yeah.
Fuck reality.
I like that, dude. That's
reality's for nerds.
I don't like that.
Dude, that's something I can get behind. Napalm. If you're gonna start a church, man, let me know. Church of Napalm. I'm ready for it.
I have played with that thought before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, because we're not really
he's never
good
gonna
with...
do it because he's too lazy.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a good place to end this on. My speculation of a cult.
Okay, but I want to know if Goat might have some, knowledge of what did we learn here today. I don't know if Goat is able to get back on right now.
I think he would probably say, we have learned that I am the big gay, me specifically, Lundy.
I thought you were saying him, Goat, is the big gay there.
No, that's why I specified.
I'll go ahead and do it for Goat. Everybody today, with this podcast, we've ventured out in different terrains. We've questioned our existence. We've looked into what humanity is, and even though Lundy decided to be a party pooper and try to just trash the imaginations of ourselves and what could be, I think we've explored what could be and what could not be, and found that both of those are possibly the same thing. And maybe just in that, we found a little bit more of ourselves. And I'd like to thank you for listening and hope you have a simulation type of a day.
So that's a better outro than we actually do usually.
Yeah, normally our outros are like, all right, I think that's it. Yep. All right.
I like dick.
Yeah. There's usually something about liking dick and being gay. Yeah, that's the basic thing.
And obviously, everybody should like dick.
Everybody should. I mean, it depends on the dick. Not on washed dicks. If you don't wash your dick, fuck you.
Debatable. It's debatable.
Oh yeah, it's debatable. I'll put my foot down on that one.
That's a conspiracy theory.
I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I think that's just. No. I'm just gonna go with no.
I appreciate y'all having me on, man. Thank y'all, man. And Napalm, I really enjoyed it. And Lundy, pleasure
I did
to
too.
meet
This
you.
was a fun episode.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't as fun as y'all's drug one or this or that, but I really enjoyed it, and especially Lundy getting fired up like, no. I mean, there is some personal feelings with your dad and stuff like that, and I could understand, like, you're listening to him say this, you're like, I can't humor this guy, but I gotta humor him. So I feel like you gave me the same kind of humor till you couldn't, as far as your dad. Like, just gotta humor this guy. So
no, I treated you with a lot less kid gloves than I do my dad. Trust me. My dad gets the okay, well, that's one way of looking at it, kind of treatment. That's what he gets.
Man, you got some weak mental wrists if this was you, like, gloves off. We're doing this bare knuckle.
Well,
It's
I
like-
appreciate it, man.
I don't think this
I
was
def-
gloves off because I didn't want to be like super mean because he was nice enough to come by. and
Oh, you're
talk, but
okay. You're walking.
I
it back
also
a bit.
didn't want to.
It's
I
like
also didn't want to be
I
like.
didn't use the 10-ounce
I
gloves.
didn't want to
only
be
used
like
the 5.
yeah, essentially yeah. I went like my dad gets me out of 2. He got me out of 6. Nobody's seen me out of 10 yet.
Well, I think y'all are doing some good work, man, and I appreciate because when I went on to Napalm, when it's like, hey, are you going to put me in a corner with this and just start beating on me? He's like, no, it's not that type of thing, man. And so I appreciate that because I assure you, and whenever I want to talk to people about any kind of ideas, they're like, you don't even believe in the moon landing.
Now, if anything,
You know what I mean?
if coming here as a conspiracy theorist, it's going to be you and Napalm and Goat versus me. That is that is what it's going to be.
But I just like Napalm. You do a good job with your vibe, man.
With his,
You just like to have fun and entertain as far as the different stuff, and then you can tell that it's kind of I take you more sarcastic as far as and then that you're just trying to say something that you totally think is just like bringing into the realm of possibilities. So I
Well,
really
Lundy framed it best when he said, "I follow the Who Framed Roger Rabbit school of philosophy."
yeah. He believes
That's a good
anything,
one.
so he believes or disbelieves things depending on how funny it would be.
I like that. Dude, that's not a bad way to be, man.
I think it's a horrible way to be.
No, it's dude, I just every time I get in DGG and people start getting angry, it's just like, man, I feel bad for y'all. Like, just saying, like you can have a conversation, but you don't have to get just like where you just hear this hate and this energy about them. So I don't know. I just Napalm. I just
Well, the
hear.
problem with D.GG is like everybody wants to get their bits in. They want to be like, "No, I'm the smart guy who's doing the debate right."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's 100% true. Well, man, I really appreciate y'all, man, having me on, and I really enjoyed it. I hope y'all get successful enough so that I can hear Goat do a sponsorship ad.
God,
I
I
just
have no
can't
idea what
wait
the
to
hell that
hear
would sound like.
And then me immediately losing it.
that. It would just be pathetic. He's just like, guess I got to read
It's like,
this.
Blue Chew makes your dick fall off after 3 years, right?
But thanks for having me on, y'all, man. Y'all have a good night tonight.
Yeah,
You
have a good
too.
one, dude.
All right, dog. I appreciate it.
That was a great episode.
I knew I wouldn't like that.